Now I'm going to introduce the next speakers, because the world can be a scary place in today's date. Regimes get toppled, countries get invaded, and even following the news can be quite depressive at times. You can have friends who have their country invaded at times. That's really a thing. These guys had that happen, and they saw it as a call to action. And through the use of their extensive network of people they know because of various hobbies and work-related activities, they managed to send a serious number of Land Rovers filled to the brim with essential IT and health equipment, medical equipment, to the Ukrainian front line, with basically just community effort. And that's brilliant. So without further ado, the ultimate proof that heroes really do not always wear capes, Niels and Ron.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Jos. That's quite an introduction. I'm blushing now. Welcome to why aid to Ukraine and what happens when the country where your friends live is invaded and they ask for help. And basically we try to answer, what would you do? By showing what we did. So, we'll talk about why we started, why we are doing this, our personal motivation, why we keep going. We'll give some insight into what we actually do and what it adds up to. At some point during the presentation, we'll discuss about saying thank you, which is quite a topic, and we'll end with a call to action. How can you help? Because, like Jos said, everything we do is really a community effort. We're doing this together with our friends, and that's how it works. I'll just quickly start with a personal introduction. I'm Niels.
I'm Ron.
And here on the photo, really nice and large, you can see Sasha, Anna, and me in Kharkiv. Ron will do a really cool intro later on. I'll leave that to you. If that's okay? Yep. And why we do this? Because war is very, very shit. This is in Kharkiv, on the side where when the Russians invaded the city, where they started bombing the apartment buildings. This is near friends in Kharkiv when the first North Korean rocket landed. And all these photos, you can fill a presentation with just photos like this, so I won't turn the whole emotional knob to 10, and that doesn't help anything. But it's real, it's very shit. It can be really nice to watch films online, it can be interesting to watch the news, but when you put your boots on the ground and you look at what it means in people's lives, then that's, well, not a nice sight. And this whole situation is difficult, but what is really interesting in Ukraine is that people rise to action, and they work together. They don't have a high expectation of their government historically, so everyone is used to actually doing something. And that brings me into the story. This is a photo of the ship where my grandfather served. He was in the East during the Second World War. He was on a hospital ship, and that was a time where, well, they picked people from the water in the east during the fights there, and I was raised in a family with this history, and in a history where if people use violence to obtain goals, the result is never nice. That's what I was taught, and that's how I grew up, and I think that explains part of why we're trying to help. So, March 22, Russia invaded Ukraine, the full-scale invasion, after 2014. Now they went full, and there was a huge lack of everything because of the mobilization, equipment, materials, etc. So we, with a group of friends, said, well, let's put some money together, let's see if we can buy stuff that's usable. So we bought proper boots, proper jackets, backpacks, vests, stuff like this. Typical stuff that you would use if you would go to the east, but it's still the basic things that you can buy as an individual. And we were buying this equipment with money donated from our group of friends from motorsport background, and one of them is a car trader. And he said, oh, well, Niels, I donated some money to your project. I got this phone call from a client from a long time ago, and there's some guys coming over. And just a few weeks after the war started, Alex and Anna came to the Netherlands to fetch some cars. They bought too many, and I decided to help them and bring one more. And so we slowly built our network. We built our network around the people I knew from motorsport, the people we knew from work, from our hacker community, just doing stuff. Because we measure what we do in terms of equipment, goods, and usefulness that goes from here to Ukraine. And together with our friends, we just started to send stuff. And there is a really simple start. When you do this, when you help people, the starting point is a question. So we have all this wealth. We have all these opportunities here, and we can use them. We can put them to good use just by asking the question, what do you think you need next week? What do you think you need next month? And we got funding from the hacker community, from Ukraine, and with a full network around Europe, we managed to just try and answer simple questions from simple people who are in distress. And then it kind of grows. One of my friends has a garage. He is specialized in Land Rovers. And there is the typical Land Rover Discovery, which is a very cheap car, because vehicles are quite expendable. They wear out really quick. So you don't want to invest too much money in them. And together with our friends from Ukraine, we found a nice balance between money and quality. And they buy cars ahead of our money, basically. So they fund it. We collect the cash together, and we can send these lovely ones. And in the same kind of process, with a lot of community help, we were able to fund an ambulance, our first ambulance. And when we bought the ambulance, the machinery didn't really work, the supplies weren't there. So we said, okay, let's get together, find ways through our community to fill this car as a start. And we ended up with a medical wholesale company who now has asked all their clients to collect medical goods, and we're able to supply stabilization points, and other groups with essential trauma medication. And it's on the Dutch ambulance organization level, so it's really nice quality stuff. And it shows, because we received a really nice message from a family who almost lost one of their family members. And this man suffered severe injury due to a rocket explosion nearby. But due to the equipment we sent, he was helped. I have some photos. Here he is in the hospital. It's not a super nice photo, but you can see that he was really helped. And the family asked, can you use these photos? Can you show them to the people in the Netherlands? Because donations matter. Because this helps matters. And that's definitely something that keeps me going. And it might be small steps. It might be small steps, but with many small steps, you can still make quite a dent. This man has a nice little shovel that we sent at the beginning of our project, so you can see the result. It takes a bit of time, but that's definitely something that keeps me going.
So I came in during working hours. I'm a civil servant, a bit dull. So civil servant, so between 10 and 2 a.m. I work. And from work, I know these guys. I used to be responsible for all Dutch COVID digitalization. And who do you call when you want to save the country? You call hackers. Also, because of those hackers, we had the most privacy-friendly QR code in the EU, with no names in it. I should have done a sabbatical then, but I decided to go to another ministry to be responsible for Dutch digitalization. And then I decided to stop. I took a sabbatical after all those years of not having holidays. And there is a reason that I grew up being told that whenever war happens, you start helping. And the reason that I live is that my grandmother could not prove she was Jewish because some guys in Amsterdam decided to burn the registry. Also, by the way, the reason I have something to with, I value privacy so much. So I grew up being told that whenever war happens, you start helping. And I had sabbatical, so now I could really help. Started driving to Kharkiv and started helping. The reason is war. Which is really ugly. But the reason is also that we can help and nerds can help. This is from an IT company in Kharkiv, whose personnel started also making different types of stuff with the printers they have. And for those of you who think Ukraine is far, far away, you can do Lviv in a day from the Netherlands, and it's closer than Barcelona. So it's a lot closer than Spain, where lots of us go on holidays. And going there You have two dull countries to pass. Sorry, Germany and Poland. And then the fun part starts. Old-fashioned borders. You wait somewhere between 1 and 8 hours on the Polish side. Polish don't like people passing those borders, I guess. And from digital stuff, you go to real papers with real stamps. And not one, but dozens, including copies. And then you're out of the EU. And I have this quarrel at home with my wife. And then statistics help. There's less chance of being killed or injured. Okay, I know this isn't true in some parts of Ukraine, but it helps me getting permission to leave for Ukraine. And then you are in a different world. And what we all think of war as only being ugly with all people hiding. But in fact, people start living during war. They start living and they start a resilience against the invasion. This is Lviv. I never tasted smoked salmon ice cream. If you go there, take it. It's a very vibrant city still. It's just 1 day away, or if you do it a bit slow, it's 1.5 days. You can still go there by train, and train connections are better than, more often on time than in the Netherlands. So people actually keep on living. You can have fantastic food. You can buy flowers. You see more flower shops than in the Netherlands. And then you take the train back. So we bring cars, so we take the train back. And you sit in a very luxurious train with better coffee than in most bars and travel back.
You could
Niels.
even say that pleasure is resistance.
Yeah.
And to keep going as a society, to survive as a society and survive as humans, to live is part of the resistance. And to survive, you need this mentality. We cannot bring this mentality. Ukrainians have this already. This summer, they have the issue with the locust on their fields. It's eating the crops. So now in the cafe, you can take your coffee with fried locust. That's their response to problems. And our humble project, because I feel this, people say to me, Niels, you should speak more about what you do. But I'm always humble compared to what these guys do. We have our project, we have 3 main items that we really know about. So IT and energy, cars, and medical equipment. IT means computers, workstations, network equipment, servers. They're all really welcome, and we try to send as much as we can get our hands on. Especially after the discussion that happened in the White House and the subsequent shut-off of the facilities in Kursk. On-prem servers, popular. So, if your company decides to outsource everything to the cloud, don't hesitate a moment, but take your full data center and just stop by and mention it to us. Desktops, monitors also welcome. 3D printers, really welcome stuff. People print a lot, and you cannot imagine the fact that in every other closet, behind every other apartment building, there is somebody printing stuff. It's super decentralized. It is part of a really, really resilient and involved society. Medical equipment, with the help of a lot of the ambulance posts, a lot of the ambulance organizations in the Netherlands, with the help of our main supplier, we're able to send really cool stuff. And those who are in the know in terms of medical equipment understand that, for instance, here is the bone drill, the suitcases, the stuff that is used in defibrillators. It's the expertise in terms of trauma medication now is in Ukraine. It's not here. Unfortunately, it's caused by their eastern neighbors. So it's nice to learn something, but it's very shit when you have to. We've all seen footage of the burnt down power stations, of the power grid in Ukraine. They managed to compartmentalize it, to remove all the internal vulnerabilities so that a large-scale outage won't happen anymore. But we send lots of generators, lots of solar panels, because it helps. And one generator is one shop, is one family, one small organization that has electricity and that can use the lights, that can use their phone. So this car is, let's say, 10 happy little groups of that. And I already mentioned the medical stuff. It's vital because the healthcare sector is overwhelmed. And it's really, really useful. It's what we spend part of the money of the foundation on, because we also take a lot of requests from people and try to help them due to the network that we've built. And for sure, we bring whatever else helps. So when we ask, what do you think you need next week? What do you think you need next month? We get all sorts of questions. And one of them was, if you can find foam fire extinguishers, we really like to have them, because our volunteer groups who go and help the fire brigade, they use them. And we give them to people. So just as the electricity is compartmentalized, everyone tries to take care of their own little neighborhood. And when you have more of stuff like this scattered around society, it's more resilient against attacks that happen. So it's really useful.
So what did I personally learn from all my trips over there? We tend to think that one drop in the ocean is just a drop, that large world problems are not solved by individuals. But in fact, they are solved by numerous individual actions. If you send a bear, you make one kid happy. If you send more, it adds up. Every drop counts. Every ambulance helmet protects another worker. And it's not the government or society that makes the difference. It's individuals and relationships based on trust. And you build those relationships going there, making friends, and keeping them. And in fact, I learned that it's nerds that make the difference. Individual people who know all about one thing, like Nastya and cars in the middle, or computer nerds that implement the network equipment we send. It's individual experts over there that really make the difference. And we tend to think that it's a corrupt, fraudulent country. And of course, there is some sort of a corruption. But also, every NGO we bring stuff to has to prove where every single thing we bring ends up. Every single thing we bring, and they move it to a paramedic, for example, has to be signed, there has to be a paper, and they are checked very frequently where our stuff ends up. And there is one thought experiment. What would you do? Because ethics is cheap, sitting on a couch. So, you have a company, you work in a company vital to the defense industry, and you can choose for your next employee. Will it be the best expert on the field, or will it be my kid, to protect my kid from going to military? Those are ethical dilemmas we never face, and they do. And based on my experience, I decided to do something completely different. So I now work as special envoy at the Dutch Ministry of Defense.
Which is very nice, because at the end of the day, any society needs enough nerds who help out. When you talk about help, it's also nice to mention the scale. It got out of hand a bit. Sorry. We're over 200 vehicles with our network. We managed to find enough IT equipment to help a lot of people with the help of all of you. Cars funded with the help of all of you. Generators bought and funded with the help of all of you. Solar panels. The solar panels are specific. They were donated by 3 people in total. One of them donated 280 panels, and the rest a bit less. You know who you are. Thanks again. Medical supplies. I don't know. We were adding up the numbers. It's really nice. And still, this is because we work together. It's a community effort. And you get photos like this, where this is just, I think, 4 months maximum. And that's why we really want to say thank you to everyone in the community. We received a very nice note from the Embassy of Ukraine. And since this whole saying thanks has become quite a bit of an issue in the geopolitical discussion, we are of the humble opinion that we should say thanks to the Ukrainians, because they, at the moment, are helping us to keep our eastern neighbors away. And we can just be humble helpers in this process. And if you want to join, I'll try to answer the question, how can you help? Since we're here, There is a village, Aid to Ukraine, named after our foundation. Next to the village is one of the lovely cars we want to send to Ukraine. And every car goes through a process like this, where we say, oh, this is a nice car, it drives like new. We need some budget for it, 5,000 euro for a Land Rover Discovery with solid axles, diesel engine, 4x4 wheel drive. It works for volunteers, it works for medics, all the causes that we can think of. Yesterday, we kindly received a very nice donation. So from 5,000, we went to 2,880. And currently, we have 2,260 euro to go. So you can donate. I will show the QR code later on in the presentation. And when we have all the money, it can go. There is one novelty, because at this event, there is another car that was brought by somebody who said, oh, my sister is trading in her car. It's nice. It might be suitable for a volunteer. And would that be useful? And we are really happy with such donations, because we'll send them to Kharkiv. So thank you. So that's one. You can donate towards this car. The second one, everyone here works in IT in some way or another. This is a shipment we received from a really good friend who has been partying with us here since 2001. And he went into his basement and he said, oh, I have all this nice equipment. We're not using it. Would that be useful? Definitely contact us. You decide what you want to give. We'll come and take it. And the best is, if it works, if it's usable, if it's not 15 years old, but recent enough to be functional in a situation where it's really critical, yes, most welcome. And for sure, you can visit our village. We have a really nice tent, thanks to some sponsors who were so kind to invite us and host us in party area 42. And our tent has not only a permanent exhibition with photos and stories of what we try to do, but it also has a nice program. So in the morning, you can send a message per Chaos Post, Konmai, you're the best, and bring your kids or come by yourself. If you have someone specifically, it will be delivered. If you just want to send the general message, we'll take it along and we'll give it as moral support from our community. From 1,400 hours, thanks to one of the first aid volunteers in Team First Aid here. She received her training in Ukraine. We have Stop the Bleed training. And it's a first aid training where you learn first aid like it's being taught in Ukraine. Because here in the Netherlands and most of Europe, we learn how to deal with cardiac arrest, we learn to deal with small wounds, etc. In Ukraine, the first priority is make sure that somebody doesn't bleed to death. So there are some techniques for this, which are happily trained. The first training was today, and tomorrow, on Monday and Tuesday, we'll have them again register in the village. Well, directly after this talk, we have a vareniki tasting. Vareniki are really nice dumplings, most welcome. And tomorrow and Monday, there are 2 documentaries which you can watch. And with this, feel welcome in our village. But most important is, of course, the question, how can you donate? Oh, the placement of the QR code is really miserable on this presentation. I think at home you can see it. Come over after the presentation. If you want to donate, we'll help you with that.
That's it.
I think that's it. And many thanks for coming. Many thanks for listening to us. And again, many thanks for all the help we received in the last years and all the positivity that we were able to send to Ukraine from all of you.
Thank you very much, guys. Awesome work. Well, like Niels said, you were invited to the village afterwards to do Q&A basically. But we have some spare time, so if there are any questions from the audience, now would be a good time to speak up. On that bombshell, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.